The fire service is a lifestyle. Some of us grew up knowing that this is what we would do. Others found it later in life. We all have a story to tell. We live a career of experience and knowledge. But what happens when we retire? All that knowledge and experience walks out the door. Welcome to Capture the Knowledge.
I actually did not start with the fire department until 1976. And that was due to the fact that I had a friend of mine that was on the Alberta Fire Department, and he tried to talk me into joining 5 years before I did. I was over at his house for a get-together one day with my family, and he had a fire call, and he says, "Come on, you're going." I went on a fire call with him, and after that first fire call, he says, "Now you're on the department." That's how I became a fireman. I had no interest in being a fireman before that time. With the first call, I ran, and it was right across the street from the main fire station in Alberta. It's where the existing post office sits today. It was a grass fire. It was a small acreage. It was probably maybe half an acre by the time we got it out. But the whole lot was no more than an acre in size. It was all volunteer at the time I joined it. There was no paid men. The chief was paid a small salary, but not much. And that's the only person that was paid in the department. Training is we had hose training, we had first aid training, not as in depth as it is today, but we had to get things down that was proficient in what we were doing. Back then there was about 30 people on the roster, but they kept shifting, going different places. A lot of them went into the fire service as paid men once we became American River. But from Rio Linda, it became Rio Linda, Alberta. Then in 1990, American River took over the area out there. Basically four. Be Alberta, Rio Linda, Alberta, American River, and Sac Metro. Only two different t-shirts, because the first two, Rio Linda and Rio Linda, Alberta, did not have t-shirts. You wore whatever you had. One set of turnouts, and they were always hand-me-downs. No grass gear. Whenever you went on a call, you wore cotton jeans and shirt. They didn't want any synthetic material. I would say that was in the American River period, and basically it was near the end of the American River era. Alberta Fire Department had one SCBA, and it was an MSA. And they had one mask for it. Everybody wore, if you wore the SCBA, everybody wore the same mask. It turned out to be a fairly close-knit family of personnel that was on the fire department, and we all got along well and had a lot of good times together along with the families. We had Christmas dinners. We had mainly a Christmas dinner. We had Easter egg hunts for the kids. It was different things we did with the community, for the community. As long as we could serve the community and assist the people living there, that was our goal. Well, you don't really retire from being a reserve. You just walk away from it. And that was in 2017. When I started, we had a pager that we carried with us at all times. And whenever there was a call, we'd respond to it. Then in later years, we got a plectron that we set in the house, and it would go off to alert us in the house. But other than that, the only one you had was what you carried with you. Every place I went, I carried it with me. That pager would pick up calls as far away as Red Bluff. I guess you could say it's whenever we got together and had the best times. Also, we did a lot of fundraising to buy certain equipment for the department, and we'd also give donations to like the Burn Center. The equipment is better, and also each and everybody, as far as SCBAs, have their own face mask. They are better prepared today to go into a structure to do protection than we were back in the years past. It has come a long way since then, because I don't know if they were made out of Nomex or not, but that's something fairly new, and I don't believe our original turnouts were made out of any material. It was fire resistant, but it wasn't like the Nomex. I would recommend that everybody use and keep up with their personal equipment and make sure that it's safe for after every fire, no matter whether structure, grass, or what kind of fire it is, but check it and make sure it is in usable condition for the next time. And if it gets soiled, have it cleaned. We try to make it fun out there. We try to be serious whenever we're doing the job that we're out there to do. Leastways is my way of thinking. We're not out there to have fun at doing our job. We're out there to protect the community. Don't be like you're going to be horseplaying around a fire scene so other people can see and think, oh, they're goofing off. Time and place. Go back to the station and do it, away from the public. Well, sometimes I'd be sitting at a dinner table and say to myself, do I go or don't I go? And a lot of times it would depend on what kind of meal we was having and what the call was. Sometimes it was hard, sometimes it was fairly easy. But for the biggest part, I tried to do the family first. No, I did not, because we never really talked about it. He knew what I was going through, and most of his life, he had other interests besides fire service. Whenever we get together, we talk very little about fire service, unless it's something like a call that I heard them go on or something like that. Other than that, we do very little talking about the fire service. Makes me feel great that somebody wants to carry it on and serve the community that's a big thing. Why I was always willing to go on almost any call that came out. I know what it should be. I'm not saying this is what it really is, but I think they're trying to protect lives, then property, and intermingle with the public to show that we care about them. That's the way I see it. Now, whether it will be or not, I don't know. I won't be around in 100 years.
Well, I won't be around in 100 years either.
I think the lesson I would pass on to them would be follow the instructions that you're given. Carry them out to the best of your knowledge and improve on that knowledge. And don't go off on your own without directions of what you're doing. And if you're in doubt about the communications, the orders that was given, have them clarified to you. I think I'd tell them if they're interested in becoming a fireman to look into it, take some classes, see if this is really what you want to do, because it is a hard and strenuous work. And it's rewarding in a lot of ways, but you have to put yourself forward to receive those rewards that you would get from it, to better your own life and the lives of others. Well, I never really retired. I always had to have something to do. I'm not one for sitting around, or I'm not into a lot of traveling. I don't really have a hobby. I used to, but I've more or less given it up. I used to go camping a lot, four-wheeling. I used to love doing that. Matter of fact, I still own the Jeep that I bought originally. And I bought it in 1966. Well, I hope that when somebody sees this, that they can pass it along. Some of the things that I went through, and not necessarily pat me on the back, because I do not want that. I'm just here for the general public and the community I live in. And since I come back to work with Fleet, I told them before I ever quit reserves, I'd like to do something for you, just to make it somewhat easier for what you guys do all the time. And that's why I'm here.